All right, I'd like to welcome everyone inside Garden Center Lanes here in Alexandria, Minnesota for the 2020 Midwest Youth Championships on the High Plains Bowling Network. I'm Darren Cini alongside Ken Fletcher with special guest Matt Russo. Matt, welcome to NDBowltv.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. When I found out about it, it worked out. I actually was here for a wedding yesterday for my fiance's one of her friends, so it worked out well to be here in Minnesota, and nice to give back to the youth. I always love commentating and get to talk about bowling, so
very nice.
What a better way to do it on the weekend of National Bowling Day. So.
That's right, and we got a long show ahead of us, so everyone sit tight. We'll grab breakfast. I guess it is morning, so.
Yeah, I got my Caribou coffee. I'm a huge coffee drinker, so Caribou is my favorite. We don't have it in Illinois. I live in Illinois now, so we don't have that, but anytime I come to Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a Minnesota favorite.
Yeah, and of course got the Monster Energy drink. That's a necessity in my world, so.
So I guess tell us a little bit about yourself. You're, what, a five-time Team USA member? And
yes, yeah, five-time member of Team USA, two years on junior team, 3 years on the adult team. Won the National Amateur Championship in 2017 and won team trials in this past year in 2020. Got 4 gold medals for Team USA from the Champion of Champions PABCON in Brazil. Collegiate National Champion in 2019. This was my rookie season on the PBA Tour, so it was a good season to start. Gave a run at a show in Indianapolis, so that was fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I just like to say my bowling does the talking for all the accomplishments. So when people ask me, what have you done or what do you want to do, I just, have them watch me bowl and hopefully that does the talking. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be on Team USA. I mean, that was a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid. So to be able to do that the first year I went and bowled trials and only missed out 1 year. So it's been a nice couple of years and learned a lot at school and got a chance to win, actually won 2 national championships. So it's incredible to see this young youth talent, who are either in college or going to go to college and kind of see how they blossom and flourish throughout their 4 years.
And you went to school?
Weber International.
Okay.
Yeah, Babson Park, Florida. Trained at the Kettle Training Center and worked out to be a great 4 years.
Very nice. And I do believe one of my hometown bowlers here in the building is actually going there, Jamie Craig. So
I have heard. I haven't
over here.
Seen him bowl yet.
He is on the pair to our right. He just right here would be on lane 15 next.
It's a great program. A lot of developmental stuff and improvements. That was the one thing that I gained a lot out of it, was just improving my game and developing some other strategies and ways to play the lanes, and learned a lot about bowling balls and ball motion and pattern design, and which is really helpful nowadays because a lot of times you don't know the pattern, at least most of the tournaments I've seen, or even when we're out on tour, I mean, they tell you what it is, but to be able to actually be able to read that graph and play them a certain way to give you the best chance, it's nice to have that knowledge.
Sure, and I guess speaking of the pattern, what do we have out here today? We have a 43-foot pattern, I believe. Yeah, I took a look at the draft this morning before I got here. 43 feet, 20 mils, not on the super high volume side. Got a chance to bowl here a little bit on Friday, and they hook a lot in the track area, and I think the fronts hook a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how people play them and how they break down. Don't want something too shiny because you got to give that ball enough time to read that middle part of the lane, but something with a little too much surface, burn up a little too quick, and 2-pin or 3-pin and some sort of combination. And just to let everyone know, our viewers, that we are starting out here with a 4-game cashers round. So all these bowlers bowled 6 games. There were multiple qualifying shifts over the course of the last 2 days, and your pins do carry over to this round. And what will happen is they will bowl 4 games, and the top 2 in each division will be automatically seeded as the 1 and 2 in the stepladder of their respective divisions. The remaining 8 players are going to cut every division down to 10, and the remaining 8 players will then be into a single elimination bracket where the final 2 of that bracket will be the 3 and the 4 in the stepladder, and all those rounds will be carried here on NDBowltv. So stay tuned. It'll be a long day for us, but a good show. We'll see a variety of bowlers, a variety of styles. We have a handicap division, a girls scratch division, and a boys scratch division, where the top prizes are, I think in the boys division, the top prize is a $5,000 scholarship, which is, I say it every year, is phenomenal. So the job they do here in Alexandria is great.
When I was bowling youth events, it's hard to come by 5,000 to bowl for. I mean, half the time we don't get that on tour in terms of regional aspects.
Right.
So to come bowl a local event or a bigger local event and get 5,000, I mean, if I was a youth bowler, I'd be bowling this tournament every year until I couldn't anymore. So nice to see the nice money on top, and somebody today is going to walk away with a nice amount of money.
Let's go over quickly the adult youth tournament. They normally do a pro-am here, but with the ongoing pandemic, there were a lot of the pros that did not make the trip out to Alexandria this year, and they just had an adult youth doubles tournament. They just ran 2 shifts of that, 1 shift on Friday night, 1 shift last night. Jamie Craig and Scott Pohl took that one down, and Jamie then went home with a $750 scholarship. Lucas Herzrud and Travis Herzrud took second. And on the way down, they paid out 14 spots, so a lot of good scholarship money going out in that tournament as well.
Yeah, the amount of money that Nevin has said that they've raised over this for each year, something around like 30,000, I think, every year?
Yeah, each year they give around 30,000, like you said, and I think I did see the payout a little earlier yesterday, and I think the boys payout is 5,000, the girls is 4, and the handicap might be 3, something like that. It's all dependent on entries, and then they weigh how they pay them out. And I think they're paying 18 spots on the boys, 10 spots on the girls, and 14 on the handicap side. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think that's what made it to today. It's an incredible amount of money, something I wish we would have ever had the chance to bowl for when we were younger.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I tell you every year, Ken, you and I bowled in tournaments in North Dakota growing up where there'd be 120 kids, and you take the top 5, they give you a $50 scholarship.
Yep.
Where now these kids are bowling against, I mean, how many were in the boys open division? How many entries total?
There was 87.
87, and the winner's going to take home $5,000 scholarship. So it's incredible to me. And if you're a youth bowler watching right now, please put this one on your schedule. Coming out to Alexandria, it's around the same time every year in early to mid-August, and they do a great job. The staff does very well here, so
very well worth the trip. We've seen people from Maryland, I think, even
yep,
in the past couple of years, just all over.
And who's the leader of the event so far?
Yeah, let's go through the scores quick. Go ahead, Ken.
Well,
and we do apologize if we butcher your name. There's a lot of names here we don't know. So
yes, there are.
That's why you're doing it and I'm not.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do it all.
We'll do our best with this, but we were looking at the scores on the way down here yesterday, and the top 3 guys were leading for pretty much the entire time. Blake Martin, 1324, was lead for pretty much the whole time, I believe. Again, I'm going to butcher these. Edgar Burgos with 1321 and Jordan Monins with 1321 also. They led for most of the time that we were looking at scores. So after that, a little drop off. Tyler Roden's a name I think we're familiar with from the last couple years. Trevor Amir, Ethan Tepley, another name we know. Brandon Cryer, Cody Larson, Dawson Peterson, Lucas Herzrud, who's bowling on our pair right now. Corey Luden, Dylan Galley, Jamie Craig, John Clinton, Robert Vatter, Jace Goodell, and Will Kubani, I think is how you say that. Really outside of the top 3 who separated themselves a little bit. It's 90, not even 90 pins from 4th down to, actually, Justin Prino, I forgot about him, down to 18th position. So,
and he was on our show last year, I believe.
I believe so, yeah. So it's really tight. I mean, you know, you get a couple good games going here, and you could jump up the field pretty quickly.
I did notice that the scores actually switch sides as the bowlers switch sides, so we're going to adjust our scores here on the stream. One of those things you got to fix on the fly. That's
and
okay.
I think they're all in like position, right? Their lane assignments are based off your position, I think.
Yes. So the leaders are over here on, I believe, 9 and 10, and they're already done with their first game.
Oh, I think the leaders are 19 and 20.
Are they?
I think so.
Are they not using? No, they're not even using 9 and 10.
Yeah, I think they're on 19 and 20.
Oh, okay.
And then they'll move after each game, right?
Yep. See, we should see the leaders come around to our featured pair here.
Okay,
yep.
yeah.
We will say that the Garden Center here has new scoring monitors this season, so we're trying to get those calibrated with our cameras. We will say they do look great, so shout out to the Meyer family for the upgrades.
Some interesting ball choices so far. Just looking around the center and seeing some people throwing urethane and some people are throwing shiny balls, and so it'll be interesting to see how they transition. I think every pair is going to be different. So I think the bowler who is able to minimize the splits and maximize hitting the pocket, I think, will be the bowlers who are going to make it. Like you said, there's only a 90-pin gap between 4th and 18th, I think.
Yeah, roughly that.
So 90 pins to go away, and a game and a half with somebody bowling 150, and you catch 2-0 and it's 50 pins right there. So it'll be interesting to see who makes it, and obviously there's match play as well, right? So I mean, that 90 pins is not a lot with how many games they are bowling today.
No, and I think once Catcher's round is done, the pins disappeared, so then it's just straight single game match play. But still, yeah, like you said, 90 pins can go away in a heartbeat. I mean, you looking at the scores here, our top qualifier Blake shot 170 his first game, compared to the Edgar below him at 259. So I mean,
that's 80, it's 80 right there. So
it can go before you know it.
And here on our featured pair, we do have Lucas Herzrud, Corey Luden, and Dylan Galley. Dylan up now on 14. Dylan is out of West Fargo. He went to Red River High School. I believe his family just moved down to West Fargo. He is attending the University of North Dakota. He bowled for Minnesota State University for his freshman year. Maybe transferred up to UND. Finished 108th at Junior Gold in 2019, which, as many of us know, is a very highly attended tournament, and unfortunately wasn't able to be held this year, but a very successful tournament on the youth circuit there for USBC. Lucas Herzrud out of Glendon, Minnesota.
I like the way he throws the ball. As a fellow two-handed bowler, I think there's a lot of young kids out there who I think have watched Belmo bowl their whole life and have modeled some of their game after him. So, so far from what I've seen, he's made some smart choices with a ball change, and he threw some really good shots the last couple of frames. So I think he's one to watch. His score, is he in the top 18?
Yeah, where was Lucas? He was right mid-pack, 1242 and 9. So,
The key here is just to be in the top 10 to make that single elimination bracket.
Okay. Yep. So, 1242, actually, it's a tie for 9th. So that would be the number right now is Lucas and Dawson Peterson, who I believe is to our left.
And I will say that I can guarantee you Lucas is a big Belmo fan, and his old man is a pretty good bowler himself. So,
yeah, we're a little bit familiar with Lucas. We've been able to see him grow up since he's in where I live in Fargo, and Darren has bowled with his dad for a couple of years as well.
Many years, yep. And then our last player here up on 14 currently is Corey Luden out of Invergrove Heights, Minnesota. He is 16, high game of 298, high series 721. So he should be right around that same.
Yep, he is right underneath them in 11th, so 20 pins behind those guys.
I'm going to say for 10 games, the cut number for the top 10, it's at 42 right now.
Yes, 42.
I'm going to say 85.
85. Okay, that is the official Matt Russo prediction.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, I think going up maybe 10 a game or maybe less than that. I don't know. I just think it'd be hard to go. It may even go to like 50, but I think 85 is a safe play. I think if they get a little bit wide open, I think you'll start seeing a little bit more striking. But
yeah, talking with Lucas's mother to our left over here earlier, she was saying that backhands are going a little bit more this morning than they were yesterday, and there's a pretty obvious out of bounds out there right now too. We didn't get to watch much yesterday like we normally would to see kind of how the pattern played, but it's a little tight early on just by scores, I would say.
Yeah, the guys who are getting to the pocket, their ball reads like I'd say 40 feet, 41 feet. And then the guys, I think, some guys are throwing it really hard and trying to shut them down. And that's not a bad play either, because I think if you hit the one in the front, you'll leave more makeables than if you try and bid hook it. But from what I've seen so far, I think Lucas has got the right idea. It just will come down to his shot making and how long will it hold up for him.
Yeah, with as many players starting in the middle part of the lane to find friction, it'll be interesting to see how they break down over time. And Ken, I don't know if you can remember, but do they recondition the lanes before our step ladder? Something tells me they do.
They do. Yeah, I think they have the past couple of years, if I remember right.
And if I do, like you said, if I remember right, they're going to do the girls' scratch final on our featured pair 13 and 14. They will have the handicap final step ladder on 15 and 16, and then the boys will follow on 13 and 14. So it's a little different dynamic in this tournament when you have 3 different divisions, and they're going to try to, give each division their time on the live stream for the finals. So,
and that'll be interesting to see, because if they're that crisp down there, that's really a shot. If they're that crisp now, I think once the step ladder hits, they're just going to get a little bit tighter in that middle part of the lane. And I think down the lane they might be a touch tighter, but a little bit sharper. So it'll be interesting to see how they play them. I mean, there is only going to be 4 guys, so they aren't going to break down that much. But it'll be interesting to see who plays them where and what strategy they decide to go with.
Yeah, because, like you said, we've already seen a bunch of people playing all over the place. If you look to our left on 12, we have Cody trying to play up outside with urethane. Whereas you have like Lucas who's inside trying to hook it a little bit more. So it could get a little bit interesting here and a little bit later, but maybe it'll blend it out a little bit more than everybody playing in one spot too.
It appears to the pair to our left, we have a 208, a 189, and is that going to be a 174?
194, I believe.
94. So pretty decent scores to the left on our featured pair here. We have a 152. Looks like Lucas will finish out here with the 190 with the conversion.
So nothing really big like we were seeing yesterday at the beginning of qualifying.
Right, we are missing the top 3 bowlers down there on 19 and 20, so we'll see.
There's that extra added pressure, though. I mean, you've got 4 games to either hold yourself into the top 10 or make your way through. So I think some guys might be playing it safe the first game or trying to not bowl 130. So that's also an interesting strategy. Do you go out there and give it your all and maybe say, okay, whatever I bowl, at least I know I tried, or are you playing a little bit safe and say, okay, I'm going to try and bowl 190 and then, go from there. So, and that's something that I've always messed around with a little bit is depending on where I am in the standings, what am I going to do strategy-wise? If I'm leading the tournament, obviously I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. But, if I'm near the cut, and I've only got 4 games, I'm not going to play it safe at all. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go with a whole new plan and see how it works out. But if you're in that middle of the pack, you don't want to give away too many pins because with that 150 game or the 140 game could, even like 170 could, change a lot. So it's interesting to decide. And I think most of these kids are probably 17, 18, right?
Yep.
So I don't know how much strategy plays into it for kids at that age, but I think having a plan or a strategy would help.
And I think in this case, when you look at the top 3 bowlers, you got the top 3 are all within 3 pins, and then it's a 50-pin jump down to 4th. And in this format, the top 2 get the first round bye or all the way to the step ladder, and you're guaranteed finishing 3rd at worst if you finish top 2 here. So I think the strategy going into for these guys is those top 3 are gunning for the top 2 spots essentially, and they're all bowling together on one pair. Unless somebody goes crazy below them and starts shooting 230s, 240s, I think those top 3 are going to be pretty firm in that spot. And then the rest of the people, I think they're just playing to get into the bracket. They're perfectly safe where they're at. Everyone's within, like you said, 80 pins?
Yeah, what was it, 60 or so, a little over 60 pins to get it from 18th to 10th.
Yep. So I think most of the guys towards the lower end of the qualifying, since the pins do carry over, are aiming for that bracket, while the top 3 are just trying to battle it out for that automatic bye into the stepladder finals.
Yeah, because that can make a huge difference. All of a sudden you finish 3rd instead of 2nd, and you could easily lose your first match and you're done.
Yep.
Rather than getting that top 2. So
it's super important in any tournament that when they offer a bye, especially into the finals, that you try your hardest to get there, because like you said, if you can bowl so well, and then one game could get you out of the bye, and then all of a sudden you're looking at, the first match of the step ladder, and then it all goes away. So I've always liked to try and get the bye. Sometimes I don't, because I feel like if the lanes are going to get easier and they start out hard, I'd like to know the transition. But because they are going back on the fresh, I think it really wouldn't make a huge difference. But sometimes it's nice to know how the lane transitions all day than it is just sitting around waiting and trying to watch and be like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Who do I watch based off of my style? And everybody here throws it so different, so it's hard to kind of say, okay, which one bowls like me? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think there's only like 2 or 3 left-handers, so that'll also be, I think that's an advantage. I think they're not going to transition that much, and if you find something really good the first 4 games, you can make a good run at it.
And look who we have here on our featured pair now. We have Brandon Cryer up on lane 14, Dawson Peterson, who's just threw a shot on 13, and then Cody Larson, who I believe we have seen on our show before. They all qualified at 1252, 1242, and 1242, so actually Brandon Cryer was at 1256. So let's get some information on them. And we will update you with scores as we get them. I know the staff here at Garden Center Lanes will be providing scores as quick as they can following each game. Again, we're doing a 4-game cashers round here to determine the top 10 in each division, with the top 2 getting the automatic bye into the stepladder finals. Brandon Cryer is 15 out of Mounds View, Minnesota. Finished 4th in the Minnesota High School State Singles. Has a high game of 300 and a high series of 778. So I believe that's our first time seeing him on our show. Cody Larson is 20 out of Coon Rapids, Minnesota. He started out at Weber and transferred to Ambrose.
I actually bowled with Cody for a year down at Weber. I think it was 2019 when my senior year was his freshman year.
Okay.
There was a couple guys here that actually visited when I was there. Cody and Jordan, the two-handed lefty.
Okay.
I think Jordan. Yeah, Jordan is his.
Yeah,
Jordan. Yep.
Yep, one
Jordan,
of our top
yeah.
3.
So there's a couple of guys here that Dell does a big clinic out in Minnesota for Terry Howe. So, yeah, a lot of Minnesota kids. I think even the gentleman, Ethan, I think he came to visit as well.
Ethan Tepley. Yep.
Yeah, I recognize some of the kids. So, yeah, it's nice to see that kids from all over the place are coming to visit.
Very nice. And Cody Larson has a high game of 300, high series of 780, and took 21st at Junior Gold in 2019. So pretty good there.
That's impressive.
Dawson Peterson is 14.
Wow.
Stewartville, Minnesota, 289 high game, 261 high series. Bowls a lot of MGBTs and flight tournaments. 3rd in his conference in high school bowling. So getting out here at 14 is a pretty good start. So
Say in his game at 14, that's pretty darn good.
Right? You and I say it every year. We wish we had half the game some of these kids do when we were that age.
Oh, absolutely. I wish I had their game right now.
Like I say, there's a reason you and I do what we do, my friend.
That's true. That is very true.
Well, you guys have to have some sort of knowledge to be able to sit back here and talk about bowling.
Yeah, we've bowled for many years. I can't say we're as good as we want to be. I've always said, do as I say, not as I do. I'm a better person helping people out and explaining the game as opposed to actually doing it myself. So.
And I'm the personification of do as I say, not what I do.
Yep.
As much as I say I love to watch bowling, if it's not a youth event, I couldn't sit there and talk unless I'm gonna bowl the next squad or something.
Sure.
But something like this, I enjoy watching. It is a youth event, so obviously I wouldn't be able to bowl anyway. But when we're out on tour or team trials or anything, I love to get in there and talk about it because I know I'm gonna bowl after or something. So or bowled previous. But yeah, I mean I give you guys all the credit for being able to sit back here all day and talk about bowling and you guys seem very adamant about it and passionate. So that's always nice when there's people that are commentating who make it enjoyable to watch, and that's something that I've noticed the past couple of years is with NDBowltv or Extra Frame, Flow Bowling now. They always have somebody in the booth that is just exciting and people like to. I mean, Stu Williams, I think he's one of the funniest guys out on tour. So to hear him talk about just people playing the lanes and when they get all the people from the UK on there or the international guys, it's nice to see they all get to joke around. So it's nice to bring a different touch to the live stream than just sitting back here and reading off scores and talking about players. So.
Absolutely, and in the last 3 years, we can't thank Nevin and the staff here at Garden Center for bringing in talent to join Ken and I on set. I think our first year we had Walter Ray join us. 2 years ago it was Tom Doherty, and last year Parker Bowen sat in with us. So we've had some really good talent sit with us, and we do appreciate that.
Yeah, very fortunate that we've been able to do this, and Nevin has been able to do what he does.
I've got a little bit of a connection with Parker Bowen. Him and I actually live 2 minutes down the street. Well, my parents, I'm originally from New Jersey, so I'd grown up with Parker ever since I was about 8 or 9 years old, and he's basically a second father to me now.
Wow.
So I've been very lucky to be around him and Johnny Petraglia my whole life. So, and I'm left-handed, so it helps a lot.
Yeah.
So everything I've learned, a lot of credit is to him because it's nice to be able to. They know what you're going through in terms of experiences out in the lanes when they were younger, and the tour was so different back then that and it's so different now. But to be able to just have somebody guide you in the right direction. Who knows? I mean, my father doesn't bowl at all, not very much. So he's a huge supporter, and I'm so grateful that my parents have done so much for me in terms of the sport, but to have somebody who has lived it his whole life and to be so close with them. So somebody like that who's a fantastic ambassador of the sport and loves to give back to youth bowling. And the fact that he came here and was able to, commentate, and he always has some great insight on what he sees and what's out there on the lanes. And his kids are fantastic bowlers as well. So.
Yep, and they were out here bowling last year, I believe. So.
Yep, they did.
I guess, to kind of go with that a little bit, a big thanks to all the parents out here. Every youth event can only happen with such great parents behind all these kids, supporting them along the way through all the travels, through all the equipment. It's not cheap and stuff like that. So all these kids have these opportunities because of their parents. So big shout out to them. And a big shout out to my boy Blake Wallstrom for joining us in the chat room. Fellow left-hander there for you, Matt.
Blake's up early today.
Yeah. Blake, shocker, it's Sunday. It's 9:30. Thanks for joining us, man. And again, if you're just joining us, hop in the chat room. Let us know that you're here. Let us know that you're tuning in and where you are tuning in from. Again, I'm Darren Sini alongside Ken Pletcher and Matt Russo as we give you live coverage of the finals of the Midwest Youth Championships here at Garden Center Lanes in Alexandria, Minnesota. We do have a scoring update that we can pass along to everyone. Let's start with the girls division where Hannah Rohrs had a 179. She is currently leading with a 1430. Kira Magsum at 1416. Addie Nelson at 1404. Haley Trisky at 1386. That rounds out the top four there. So Hannah Rohrs and Kira Magsum are battling out for that top spot. Looks like we now have the handicap division. We don't have a boys division update yet. They must still be trying to process that one. They have a few more bowlers in the boys division at the moment. Wyatt Meyer is leading the handicap division with a 1570. Trevor Hagland at 1534. Jake Knopp, I believe, at 1508. Once again, if we do butcher the name, I do apologize. Riley Killinen at 1507 in fourth, so that rounds out your top four. The cut to 10 is Alex Yoder at 1466. Hey, shout out to Mike Wolf watching from the restaurant behind us. Appreciate you tuning in. And then the boys division. Let's do a score update there. We have Jordan Monins.
That's what I would say. Yeah,
once again, I do apologize to these kids. I'm one of those guys that had my name butchered my whole life, so I feel for them. And he's leading at 1526, and Edgar Burgo at 1524, and Blake Martin down to 1499. So the top two have kind of separated themselves a little bit. Tyler Rodens at 1455. Dawson Peterson here on our featured pair is in fifth at 1450. Let's go down to Trevor Amir at 1417 is currently the cut through 7 games. So 17 over. So the cut actually went down.
Yeah. So I'm totally that 85 is totally out of the play. I was pretty hopeful that we'd see a couple, a bunch of 200s, but
no, and what 208 I think I saw. Dawson shot 208. That was our high game for the first.
There's only 3 200 games bowled on the boys' side. Let's look elsewhere. And wow, the actual high game in the building, game 1, was Haley Trisky at 234. So down on the girls' open division, we got some scores going. Addie Nelson with a 213 as well. I do believe they put the handicap already in the handicap division because our top player has 124 handicap and had a 234 with it, I'm assuming. So before the end of our show, I would like to know for all the bowlers watching what the handicap division is based off of. So if you're a kid out there just starting bowling and you don't really want to go toe-to-toe scratch with some of the bowlers out here, there is a handicap division to kind of get your feet wet, just get some tournament games in. but we'll have to find a poster at some point before the end of the show.
I think it's 80%.
80% of
210.
210. And is there a max at all? Because I know one guy here has Wyatt has 124 pins, so I don't think there is a max.
Not 100% sure. I think I heard briefly somebody say 80% of 210. I could be completely off, but that would be one of my guesses. Would be some sort of 80, 90% of like 210, 220.
Yeah, which isn't bad.
Yeah. It would be hard to see like 80% of 200 with 124 pins as a handicap.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think it's like 210 or 220 around there.
So really, there's a division for anyone out there. So if you're a youth bowler, the amount of money they give away in scholarships is phenomenal. So put this tournament on your schedule for next summer and head on out to Alexandria. It's a great lakes town. A lot of good lakes resorts north of here, so you can make a trip out of it. Again, we're in game 2 of the Cashers round. Shout out to Alan, tuning in from Graham, North Carolina. Thanks for watching the stream.
If anybody has any questions who are watching, feel free to write them in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. And if we can't or don't know the answer, we will find the answer for you guys.
I do agree. So feel free to ask us questions. Alan did ask us if there's a email for Parker Bone.
It is going to be parkerbone@parkerbone.com. You can also find one of his kids on social media and message them. Speaking of Parker Bone, there is a Parker Bone tournament, junior tournament that runs every year at my home center when I was in New Jersey at Howell Lanes. It happened to be his home center as well. It is every year on Labor Day weekend. I always get Memorial Day, Labor Day mixed up, but it is like September 5th to the 8th or something. They are still having it, even though all of the regulations are what they are. The new thing this year, the PBA had announced the PBA Junior National Tournament, and Tom Clark decided to partner up with Parker Bone's tournament to make it a qualifier to draw more people into the event, as well as them not having an East qualifying division. So anybody interested out there looking to bowl another big tournament, Parker Bone is having his tournament again this year. You can find it on Facebook. You can also directly message my Facebook page. It's at Matthew Russo. You can find me on Facebook, and I can answer all the questions for that. It's a fantastic tournament. A couple different divisions, prize money. There's a doubles tournament to bowl as well. It's just an all-around great weekend. So anybody interested in that, you can find that one on Facebook.
Absolutely, and I do believe Parker mentioned that tournament last year as well, and his kid Brandon and
Justin.
Yes.
Justin.
Yeah, something I bowled growing up. One of the years I bowled, and the format's changed a little bit over the years, but obviously with everything going on, they did have to add about 2 more days of qualifying to go along with the regulations that are happening in New Jersey. But it's still going to be a fun weekend and a fantastic event, so please feel free to sign up.
Yeah, any of you out on the East Coast or willing to travel, head on out to New Jersey. Another good youth tournament. Again, Ken and I always mention it. We are extremely jealous of the junior opportunities in the tournaments that they have compared to when we were kids back in the early 2000s. So,
yep, absolutely.
Wrapping up game 2 here of our Cashers round, 2 of 4. Pretty good game going here for Brandon Cryer.
Yeah, he made a ball change after the 7 split in the 4th frame, and it looks like he went from a white quantum to that's a prism warp, I think, and that's a smart play. Being on he's one of the only lefties on that side lane. He's probably not in anybody's way, so it'll just come down to shot making, and he does throw it a little bit harder than most, so I think he'll be okay where he's at. And 219 is a big score. That's like bowling 240 right now.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking around, there's really no big scores happening at the moment.
No, so he could find his way up near the leaders here pretty soon.
Yeah, and if you find something that nobody else is doing, or you're out of your own way and you're bowling 220, that gives you an advantage because, I mean, you don't have to worry about the lane transitioning so much with being the only person on that side of the lane. So